Ferrari just fired up their 2026 engine behind closed doors. And the first reaction wasn't from an engineer. It was from Lewis Hamilton, standing there, absolutely stunned by the sound. This wasn't a normal fire-up. It didn't just echo through the factory in Maranello. It sent a signal through the entire Formula One grid. Because if what Ferrari just built is as powerful as it sounds, this changes everything. For Leclerc, for Hamilton, and for the title fight nobody thought Ferrari could enter. But the most surprising part is who heard the engine running first, and why it may not have been a Ferrari driver. Because what's starting to leak from this test is a lot more serious than just noise. And what comes next might turn the 2026 season upside down before it even begins. It happened just after sunrise in Maranello. No press, no cameras, no grand announcements. Just a few Ferrari engineers, clipped radios in hand, gloves on, eyes sharp, standing around a single chassis buried under thermal sheets with one goal: bring the 2026 power unit to life. It wasn't supposed to be dramatic. A fire-up, after all, is routine. One of the final steps before dyno testing and pre-season prep. But this one felt different, because standing just a few meters away from the engine was Lewis Hamilton. No red overalls yet. No Ferrari logos stitched into his chest. Just him in black, arms crossed, eyes locked on the car. Watching, waiting, and beside him, Charles Leclerc, not speaking, just listening. Because when the power unit finally ignited, when that deep, guttural tone spilled through the walls of the factory, no one said anything. Not at first. Then Hamilton smiled, just slightly. And it was clear, that sound wasn't just loud, it was serious. You could feel the weight of it. Months of work compressed into seconds. The end of a chapter Ferrari refused to talk about. The technical missteps, the software issues, the energy deployment inconsistencies. This wasn't just a fire-up. It was a reset. And the fact that Hamilton was there, in person, hearing it first, that changed the mood completely. Because this wasn't just Ferrari testing a new engine. It was Hamilton, Leclerc, and Maranello hearing the sound of 2026 before the rest of the world, and realizing what it might mean. The engine didn't just sound different, it behaved differently. According to internal sources, the ignition wasn't a standard warm-up. They ran partial throttle mapping, tested energy deployment profiles, pushed the turbo system at variable idle, even activated hybrid support to simulate a real launch sequence. That's not routine, that's calculated, and it tells you something about what Ferrari has built and what they're trying to prove. Because this isn't just about horsepower. Not anymore. The 2026 regulations are brutal. 50% electric deployment, no MGUH, stricter fuel flow limits, longer battery cycles under harsher thermal loads. It's an era where control systems matter more than peak performance, where torque delivery can win races, and we're failing to sync the hybrid map to the internal combustion engine. Means you're off the pace before the lights even go out. And that's where Ferrari shocked people, because in this first fire-up, they weren't just running hardware, they were testing sync, and the engine didn't glitch. No over-rev, no hybrid misfire, no hesitation in the throttle cueing. That's not just rare, that's threatening. Especially because this wasn't just Ferrari's moment. Hours later, at Silverstone, Cadillac rolled out their prototype, running that very same power unit, and it worked. Which means Ferrari's engine didn't just fire up in Maranello. It went straight into service. And it ran in real conditions without a single public issue. That's what changes the perception. Because now it's not just about potential. It's about readiness. And for the rest of the grid, that's when things start to feel uncomfortable. At first, it looked like symbolism. Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, standing in Maranello, watching the engine fire up for the team he'll soon call home. A perfect media moment. One final push in the PR cycle. But it wasn't just that, because Lewis didn't just show up for sound check. He stayed. He asked questions. He reviewed telemetry. He sat with the engineers. That's not marketing. That's integration. And the real twist is what Hamilton saw on those screens, and why it might have changed his entire outlook on the 2026 season. Insiders say Ferrari's new engine architecture isn't just a refinement of the 2022 to 2025 unit. It's a ground-up restructure. New combustion chamber geometry, more aggressive turbo pressure cycles, rebalanced crankshaft timing to optimize for electric recovery overlap. In short, it's not just louder, it's smarter. And that's why Hamilton's reaction wasn't just admiration, it was recognition. He spent years inside Mercedes. He knows what a capable engine department looks like. And this looked ready to fight. But here's where it really turns. Because this fire-up wasn't meant to be public. The fact that it leaked the photos, the sound file, even the reaction quotes, suggests one of two things. Either Ferrari lost control of the moment, or they didn't want to keep it quiet at all. Because by letting the world hear that sound, by letting Hamilton be seen responding to it, Ferrari triggered something inside the paddock. Whispers, questions, not just about the engine, but about intent. Because when a team goes silent for months, disappears into technical darkness, then re-emerges with this level of precision, it usually means one thing. They're not asking for permission anymore. They're coming. The engine fired up. The sound leaked. Hamilton reacted. And then silence. No official FIA response. No comments from Mercedes, Red Bull, or Alpine. Not even a press release from Ferrari themselves. Just a carefully staged moment, followed by a deliberate absence of noise. And that silence, it's not accidental. Because what Ferrari just did, what they revealed through that fire-up, wasn't supposed to be revealed yet. It's early. Too early. The 2026 power unit regulations don't take full effect for more than a year. Most teams are still finalizing architecture, running virtual simulations, struggling to balance electric deployment under the tighter fuel restrictions. Ferrari, meanwhile, just started an engine and immediately saw it enter live use on track in another team's chassis. That doesn't suggest preparation. It suggests completion. And that's where things get uncomfortable. Because if Ferrari is this far ahead, if they're already syncing hybrid systems, cycling ERS under wet load, and receiving positive feedback from two different test environments, then the balance of power is about to shift faster than anyone thought. But no one's saying it out loud, because acknowledging Ferrari's advantage this early would force the FIA to take a stance. It would force Mercedes to explain why they haven't hit the same benchmarks. It would force Red Bull to confront the limits of their 2026 Honda-powered setup. And worst of all, it would reframe Ferrari not as a legacy team clawing back relevance, but as the technical frontrunner of the next regulation era. That's a title the paddock hasn't assigned to Maranello in over a decade. And not everyone wants to see it return. Because when Ferrari builds a fast car, the sport celebrates. But when Ferrari builds a fast engine, an engine that runs quietly, cleanly, early, the politics shift. And if the other teams don't slow them down now, they might not get another chance. Let's imagine for a moment that what we heard in Maranello wasn't a one-off. Let's say the engine really is that clean. Let's say it integrates seamlessly with Ferrari's chassis concept. Let's say the hybrid deployment, the part every team is quietly struggling with, has already been solved behind closed doors. If that's true, then everything changes. Not just for Ferrari, but for the grid. Because Lewis Hamilton didn't join this team by accident. He walked away from Mercedes after a decade of domination, 7 world titles, hundreds of podiums, to step into a team that hadn't delivered a championship in over 15 years. That decision only makes sense if he knew something, if he saw something, if he believed, deep down, that Ferrari's 2026 car could be a weapon. And this engine might be the first public proof. If it works, if it delivers the torque, the balance, the consistency they need under the new regs, then Ferrari doesn't just become a contender, they become the benchmark. And what does that mean for the others? For Red Bull, it forces pressure on their Honda transition, already filled with uncertainty heading into a hybrid-heavy future. For Mercedes, it exposes the timing of Hamilton's exit and how far behind they might be in energy control and mapping development. And for teams like Aston Martin, McLaren, even Audi, it puts a clock on their projects. Because once Ferrari shows its full hand, the gap to catch up won't just be about chassis. It'll be about software, calibration, thermal control, things that take years to perfect and cannot be fixed mid-season. And then there's Leclerc. He's been loyal through every missed opportunity, every strategy error, every mechanical failure. Now, for the first time in years, he may finally have the car and the teammate to bring it all together. And if Ferrari's trajectory holds, then Hamilton versus Leclerc in equal machinery, powered by the most advanced engine on the grid. That's not just a storyline. That's a title fight. One the sport hasn't seen in years, and one that could define the new era of Formula One. The engine fired. Hamilton was there, and something shifted. Not in headlines, not in press releases, but in the tone. Inside garages, inside simulator rooms, inside technical briefings across the paddock. Because now, the question isn't, will Ferrari be ready for 2026? The question is, what happens if they already are? If that was just a fire-up, just an early systems test, then what happens when they go full throttle? What happens when the full ERS map is unlocked? When the aero package is revealed? When both drivers start feeding live feedback into the next version of the power unit? No one's seen that yet, but they've heard it. And that sound, the low, guttural tone of something that shouldn't be ready yet, that was enough to make the grid nervous. Because Ferrari has done something it hasn't done in years. They've gone quiet, worked in silence, and emerged early. No excuses, no disclaimers, no safety net, just an engine, a driver who couldn't stop smiling, and a storm that's just beginning to form. And now, the rest of the grid is watching, listening, trying to figure out if they've got 6 months to catch up, or if it's already too late. Because if Ferrari really is ahead, if this fire-up was the first move in a bigger, more dangerous game, then 2026 won't be a regulation reset. It'll be a reckoning. And the team leading it may be the one everyone had already counted out.